Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're watching this podcast. This is me, Matthew Lambert, Regional Director for Alliances and Channels Salesforce Middle East. Long title, I know. But we're here today to film the 80/20 podcast. And this is a podcast that we started about a year ago. And it's aimed at interviewing our customers, our partners, our trailblazers in the Middle East region, specifically around their journey and applying the 80/20 principle, which is that 80% of the wealth comes from 20% of its population, as Pareto said. But that applies very much to business, and it applies to very much the tools of business. And today I'm delighted to be interviewing Horizontal, Adam and Naresh. Good morning, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
How the devil are you?
Very good, thank you.
Excellent.
How about yourself?
So we're filming this on a Monday morning, and we've all been away, and Adam just got back from Tuscany. We were just hearing about that. Nice time in Tuscany?
Very nice time indeed. Yes, good to be back and back into the swing of things. The weather's slightly improved here now, so I think I timed it just about right.
And Naresh?
I'm wonderful. Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here, Matt. So
Awesome. Well, we've got to get it timestamped that we are just off the back of a Ryder Cup win. Europe beat the Americans in New York at the weekend. Very, very close in the end. But as a big golfer, I was very delighted to hear that. So I'm in a very upbeat mood today, even more so than normal. Okay, so Naresh, why don't you tell us about yourself and a bit about your role and your history, and let's get to know you.
Sure thing. So my name is Naresh. I moved to this region 3 months ago. I've spent last 16 years doing Salesforce implementations across the US, Europe. I've stayed for about 10 years in Germany. And really fortunate to be part of some real big, meaningful transformation for some of the real, big clients across Europe.
Okay.
And
so Germany, whereabouts in Germany?
Munich.
Munich. Was it nice?
Yeah, Munich was wonderful. I mean, I'm a German national now. So,
are you?
Yeah. And my kids were born there, so the place holds special meaning to me.
Oh, wow.
And
what's your German football team? Do you have a football team?
Oh, of course. It's going to be Munich.
So you came here 3 months ago. To explain the journey for you so we understand.
Yeah, sure. Why not? So as I said, I've been doing Salesforce implementations for a while, and I kind of went with the flow. When Salesforce was big in the US, I was there. Then when it became really big in Germany, I ended up being in Germany and, really saw things scale up dramatically. Then there was a part of me which wanted to be a bit close to my family, which is so I'm based out of, India.
Yes.
And we thought, it wouldn't be a bad opportunity to kind of look into this region. And when I saw the potential that this region has for Salesforce, the amount of growth that is just there, we thought it'd be a good idea professionally and also personally to look into this region.
We saw the potential in Saudi to invest ahead of the curve, get ourselves set up with a CR, and so we did that a couple of years ago, and we took on a pretty large contract a couple of years ago with a government agency there, and then a couple of banks and hospitals there in the region, which are I suppose flagship accounts in what we hope will be flagship industries for Salesforce, and then we've grown that over the last couple of years, and yeah, I mean, my prediction, I think, is probably that, like for you guys, I assume that the Saudi market will overtake UAE for us, or rest of Middle East, should I say, for us. Maybe give it a year, 18 months, and we'll probably get there. And we've got over 100 people now working both physically here in the region. We've got an office in Dubai. We've been in Riyadh now for a couple of years. And then we've got some delivery centers in India. But actually, quite a lot of the time, we've got a transient workforce coming in and out to meet clients' needs. So we're starting to run out of space in the office actually here in Dubai. So I think we'll have to look for a new one pretty soon, and maybe even the same in Riyadh. So growing rapidly, which is great.
Agentforce is a very powerful Gen AI enabled mechanism that Salesforce has, brought to life, where you can actually leverage Gen AI to solve business problems. And a lot of organizations are currently struggling with this, right? They of course, Gen AI is a buzzword, but how do you actually make the right usage of Gen AI potential while keeping it secure and have a meaningful transformation to your business. And I think Salesforce has cracked that code very, very early. So that's what Agentforce is doing through its Atlas reasoning engine, through the automation framework that it could support. There's a lot of potential. Now, how do you translate that vision for a certain client? A lot of clients, there's a lot of DIY happening in the AI industry. We don't recommend that. And hence, I think that's a place where we come into the picture, where we say, hey, here's an amazing product. But how do you want to bring that product to life? And this is where a journey where we can help you achieve that. So again, 80-20 applies, that when I said applying strategy to 80% of the effort will give you the result that you are looking for.
Right.
And that by strategy, I mean, what kind of use cases do I want to get out of it?
Okay.
Is it giving me some meaningful value to my customers? I just don't want to have AI for the heck of it. There needs to be a meaningful purpose to it. What data do I need to achieve that? Do I have the right data quality to achieve that? If not, how can I reach that data quality? So what needs to be done to get that? So this whole strategizing, analyzing, defining, and then eventually building Agentforce to meet, that sweet spot which the customers are looking for. And I think that's where I would say Agentforce and kind of 80-20 come together.
Okay, good.
Agentforce Live, yes. So that was very, very special to us. It is very special to us because it's a testament to the fact that we are, investing. We are in our people in building this competency in-house, so we can take our customers through this journey.
Each award that we've won, the first one was marketing, commerce, and digital.
Yes.
Last year it was around data cloud, CDP, and the competencies that we have there. And now, to your point, it was Agentforce Live. And I think that each of those represents a stepping stone in our journey, but also Salesforce's journey and the way that you're evolving as a business. And for us, and to use the Salesforce terminology, we're blazing that trail together. We are a people business, right? I mean, any consultancy is. So if people don't feel like they're growing, if people don't feel like they're a part of something and a part of a vision, they won't do the best work of their lives. And we are not able to build the culture and the ethos that we want. But also, on the flip side of it, the business won't be as successful as it is, right? So without the people, we're literally nothing. And so making sure that we're building that up is incredibly important to us. And it's something, again, obviously culture comes from the top, right? We have a CEO that's built this from nothing.
Now working with over 20 universities across 6 countries. And Horizontal have been with me in some of those universities, and you've taken on some of those graduates. So Adam, talk me through a couple of the people that have been in your team recently in the last year, like 6 months, year that you've seen, and what do they bring to the table? Because again, I totally agree with you. It's people. We've got phenomenal technology, the number one CRM in the world, but without the people delivering it and getting it working for them, it's sort of irrelevant.
There are two aspects to the people side, right? And this is a very trust-based region. It's a very face-to-face region. And you have to understand the region to be successful. There is a talent shortage here, and I appreciate it's globally, but more so here, right? Because it's growing more quickly here than most regions in the world in terms of the Salesforce ecosystem and the percentage growth. But also, particularly here in the UAE, it's obviously a very heavily expat population.
Yes.
And so being able to bring people in, or grow them from the ground up, if you will, are essentially the two ways to continue the engine that we have to keep fueling with Salesforce and Horizontal. So and that's across the board, right? We've had some people in our marketing organization, so it doesn't have to just be tech people, right? Everyone sort of assumes that it's just a bunch of developers, right?
Yes.
And it's far from that. Of course, to some level, any Salesforce partner ships code. I get that, but actually, it's a lot more than that, right? You've got creatives, we've got strategy teams, we've got salespeople, we've got a marketing team, that fuel some of that, and actually, some of the people that we've brought on are the people that are fueling that engine across marketing and internal sales, so a BDR framework that we're building up, and it's been pretty successful, to be honest with you. And like I said, having that local understanding and being able to marry that up with us nurturing some new talent is something, again, that's important to us. and we were. Because of our close partnership with you guys, we were lucky enough to be selected to build out some POCs, live POCs with customers. And I think that I want to talk about, I suppose, why we felt that they were successful. And I talked a little bit about this previously, where I was talking about, the start with why and figure out what the user needs are. But there's also a sort of assessment that needs to be a part of this, because Agentforce and AI as a concept isn't necessarily appropriate for everything. For example, we work with some customers, and the most successful stories that we've had are where we've had a very strong collaboration and an openness and an awareness about what it takes to adopt this change and adopt AI. I was in Saudi a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about this sort of same model where we're looking to go live with Agentforce with a group company there that and again they've the complexity there is great, because they're across real estate, they're across catering, across hospitality, etc., etc. And again, the biggest topic of conversation that we had with them actually is, well, I met with all of the GMs in one room. Where are your champions, right? Who's going to drive this forward? And we can do it for you, no problem. Yeah. But ultimately, our team isn't going to take over your operations, right? We don't know how to run hotels, run theme parks, run airlines. That's their core operation. And so having that openness and transparency, I think, is important. And I think that also comes on to what our opportunity is to continue on this journey, and it is to have that transparent understanding and look to understand the ambition versus reality, right? So people will come in with some grand ideas, but what is that natural first step, right? What is the adjacent possible? Because ultimately, without data and without content to search to serve up through the agent, nothing is going to perform as they expect it to, right? So
it's not a chatbot, it's a conversational AI. It can interpret, understand using LLM capabilities what is being talked to. Mm-hmm. But where is the data coming from? The data is from Salesforce, or is it data cloud, which has got now data coming from multiple different sources? So how can I use this grounded data to do what? And that what is coming from the business automations, which is, again, that could be done using Salesforce flows, triggers, as a variety of tools to use to build those automations. So now you have a conversational AI, you have the right data, and you have the tools to do that. When you want to stitch that together, then you actually get the real business outcome. And that is where I think technology plays a certain role, because you sometimes have to work back from a use case. Okay, this is my vision. That is what I want to do. And then you start deep diving into it. But what kind of data do you need to enable this? Yeah. Do I have that data? No. Here is my data quality assessment. So how can I actually fix that data to get you that result? Because otherwise, you will just, you wouldn't be happy seeing the result that you have with that data quality. And that kind of whole evaluation should take 80%, or not 80%, but at least a good amount of, your investment to see that result out.
That Agentforce can be infused through every single department within an organization and touch every external party that touches that organization. But like I said, there is a framework and a roadmap to getting to that. But by definition, AI is moving the needle very, very quickly, right? So, I remember quite a while ago when I first started out in this tech world, I've come from a MarTech background, and we were sort of thinking some of these predictive tools that were going to come in a few years, and they did. But here, if we wait 5 years before we talk about operationalizing through AI, we've completely missed the boat, right? So the future and the vision is operations, but it's actually a reasonably near future.
So taking this back full circle, right? So going back to the 80-20 principle on performance. When we have our internal meetings, we talk about people, performance, and predictability. Mm-hmm. That's what we do in our internal meetings with our sales team and our operational team, etc. And going back to the Ryder Cup at the very start of this, so we've just won the Ryder Cup. Europe have just won the Ryder Cup in New York, which is really the toughest place to go ever to win. Okay, and if you think about the performance there, Luke McDonald, who is the captain of the team, takes the European team. Okay. So he looks at the European players and then he takes the top 20% of that. Okay. So he has his 12 players playing as the best 12 players from America. And then, of course, when you look at that, he goes, I need my big hitters to get those points on the board early doors. What is that? That is the Pareto 20% of the 12. Yeah. So the 1, the 2, the 3, whatever that may be. And then he was looking about marginal gains across every single facet, the travel, the accommodation when you get there, the logistics of everything, making sure you're actually pinpointing everything from the sleep to the travel to the this to the that, and making sure it's absolutely pinpoint. And
at 4:30, I'm dragging my bag. I'm just about to walk out of the reception, and there's a gentleman who comes up and says, "Here's your coffee, and we know that you won't have breakfast this early, but we packed something for you."
now, lovely.
Imagine the experience I had at 4:30 in the morning. I was like absolutely woken up with that experience.
Yeah.
And did that person do something to make me a loyal customer? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. It was just that it's, by the way, just a coffee and a croissant, right?
Yeah.
But the emotion that had you connected. So I became a happy customer. And I think when our customers want to give that experience to their customers,
Yes.
this is where we want to come in. So let's talk about the people element.
Yes.
What could we do to make their lives better, to make things easier, to get rid of that pain point?
I love the Ryder Cup analogy.
Yeah.
Because obviously in golf, for every other competition, you have to be selfish, right? Because you're playing as an individual. And I think why the Ryder Cup is so special is because those players feel like they're a part of something bigger. I was lucky enough to watch it on the plane back from the UK yesterday. And you know, one of the players, it was one of the American players, Justin Thomas, said, you know, I know that, and he unfortunately for us won his singles, but he said, you know, I really needed to up my game because there were 11 other people that were relying on me, because obviously, I mean, they had for those of you who weren't watching it, they had a pretty long way to go to try and beat the Europeans, but that doesn't happen, right? In any other competition, they're all individuals, and for the captains to create something in that environment that people feel a part of is incredibly difficult because they spend their entire careers being selfish. Yeah. And I think that's the same for us. We've talked about the culture element of this before, and I had in my previous role, I had a number of different teams across Europe, but also like we do in India, and it was a very, very important thing for me to make sure that everyone felt like they were a part of something and an end goal, right? Yes. And I actually, fought a pretty big internal battle to fly an entire team from one of our India offices to the client location in the Netherlands. This was right. Because it was critical that we were all not just in the same room. That's nice, and you can spend a bit of time with everyone, but feel like they were part of the outcome of this. Yes. And why again I think that's important is because I think that same principle it can be applied to our customers, right? If they feel like they are pulling together towards something, and the AI isn't going to replace all of their jobs, and I'm going to lose control of my data over here, or this department should have been mine, but actually now I'm losing. Because that's a real thing, right? Fear is a very real challenge that we all have to face, and us internally, right? I mean, AI is going to be a part of our jobs internally. It's not just for our customers. Correct. Yeah. The more you innovate and the more you're at the cutting edge, the less tangible everything becomes, right? Because we're trailblazing new paths together. And one of the things that we've been developing for some time in order to prove value and accelerate the conversation of understanding, I suppose, is by building out a number of frameworks. One is around how we are looking to understand data. Naresh talked about data being the fuel of all of this, and you mentioned when you spoke to Savin, our CEO, he talked about the same thing, right? And before we get into the technology, for us, it's how do you first accumulate that data? Where do you accumulate that data from? How do you then take that and consolidate that data? So we always talk about a guest 360 or a customer 360, but that consolidation is a critical part of it. How do you then take that data once it's consolidated and populate that data and enhance that data. And then finally, as part of the kind of funnel of this is a part of how do you then activate that data, right? Because ultimately, putting it all together in one central pot and doing nothing with it is basically meaningless, and you've spent a lot of money on creating a unified profile. But then also being, again, open and honest and being able to evaluate that data, right? So once we've activated it, we're going to make some assumptions on what we think is going to happen when we activate that. So an evaluation phase is critically important. So we've got a framework that we've built out that we want to take to customers or conversations that Salesforce are having in order for people to understand how to make this meaningful. And there's a sort of second phase to that, which is how do we then make sure that anything that we've identified around the data is relevant for AI. So again, we've built out an AI framework. We've got some pretty little diagrams that we can put up on walls to kind of accelerate that conversation so people can visualize everything in front of them. And then the third step to that is a sort of predefined roadmap. And it's not a predefined roadmap for a customer. It's a framework in order to structure this out for them.
Yes, it's a lot of tactical work, right, to accumulate the data. But there's, again, the people element to it, right? So who are the stakeholders do you really want to engage in that conversation? What kind of questions do you really want to ask them? What does change mean to them? So in a pre-AI versus post-AI world, what do they actually can expect the systems or the tools or AI to do? And this kind of change enablement part combined with the whole strategy piece, that becomes a comprehensive enabler when they can see change in a whole package and not just an isolated data-related change or an AI-related change. They understand what effectively will happen once this whole piece is kind of implemented for them.
Artificial intelligence, people, when I meet people socially at the weekend or whatever, they sort of say, oh, Salesforce, artificial intelligence, does that mean people are losing jobs? And what does it mean for the business? And what does Agentforce mean, etc.? And I really don't like the terminology artificial intelligence. I don't know. It's just, personally, I don't like it because it says artificial. I don't really like that. I like human intelligence. We're putting in place the mechanisms to basically enhance what we do. That's really what it is, isn't it? We come back to people. It's about people, isn't it? I mean, utilizing the technology that we've created.
Well, you can look at it from different lenses, but one way to look at it is empowering people. It's giving some insights which was not available before. Whether it is generated artificially or through a rule or whatever be the mechanism behind it.
But who put in the rules?
Exactly. So that's a technology piece, but the ultimate goal of that is empowering people.
Yeah, the net of it is actually just making things quicker, faster, more efficient, more effective, isn't it? Which is what we all want to do. We want to make the wheel go make the boat row faster, make the wheel turn quicker.
Yeah, and I think, but it's also, so velocity is one thing, but velocity with the right direction is another, right? So, to continue that analogy, yes, we all need to be rowing in faster, but obviously we need to be rowing in the same direction, right? And it's making sure that the direction that we are taking, both internally or as a partnership or our customers, is the right one. And I think that a lot of the conversation around AI has been on the former, right? Which is around basically how do we do things quicker and do things more efficiently.
Automate things,
Automate things. But ultimately, we have to be automating the right things.
Correct.
And we have to be automating the right things in the right order.
Yes.
Otherwise, we're just going faster, but in the wrong direction. And I think that's a very important point.
We're choosing that automation, aren't we? We're choosing what we want to make go faster and quicker. That's my point to it.
Exactly that.
Yeah. Okay. So there is definitely the human element to it, 100%. And it's funny, isn't it? Because you guys have both said today about people, vital, absolutely. And I always say in these podcasts as well, it's the 3 E's, which is not my 3 E's, it's Jack Welch's 3 E's, which is the energy to get up in the morning. So thank you guys for coming up this morning on a Monday morning after a very hectic travel schedule, Adam. And it's the enthusiasm about the what we're selling and what we're talking about and what we're doing. And I think that's come across very well in this podcast. Thank you. But it's the empathy, putting yourself in the shoes of, in our world, the customer, isn't it? It's putting yourself in the shoes of that customer. And you say about it, we very specifically look at industries and we look at geography. We look at geography and industry, and then we look at the size of business that they're in, and then we look at our service, our different clouds that Salesforce delivers. But we're really trying to find pain points and solving pain points. So it's human intelligence in my mind.
Yep.
That's what I come back to. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
So Adam, Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, super exciting market for us. Okay. And as one of the only partners with physical offices there with customers, talk me through the horizontal strategy for the region.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, super, super exciting. But as I referred to previously, we kind of predicted this excitement and predicted this trajectory a few years ago. So yeah, we're lucky enough to have a number of different employees. We've got an office in Riyadh. We've got some people in Jeddah. So we're now geographically spread. That will continue to evolve. But I think, for us, there's a couple of things here. Clearly, you can't go into a conversation in Saudi without referring to Vision 2030, and that's fantastic. But the reality is for us is, and having now had the experience of physical boots on the ground and looking eye to eye in conversations physically there, it's about the realization of that on a micro level. I mean, obviously, it's grander than any of us sitting in this room, and grander than any conversation that we're probably ever going to be privy to in a customer conversation or a partnership conversation. But that doesn't mean that the same principles can't be applied down at a macro level, and we can't then figure out how this works. So, when we talk about, an ambition, yes, the nation is ambitious, and the most obvious physical representation of that is the giga projects. But I feel like, having now been, there almost every week at the moment, which is great. I feel like that's permeating down through into the conversations that we're having, not just the C-suite, but also within the workforce. So everyone is super, that's what I love about Saudi. Everyone's super proud about the kingdom because they're from the kingdom and they want to grow their own people. They want to grow their own economy. And although they're not necessarily driving the vision themselves, they are enabling that vision. And so us being able to sit with them, and I talked about the frameworks before, and figure out how we operationalize that vision is really what we really want to do. And I think that the other thing that I would say is they're very much focusing on the society, right? The Saudi culture and how they can sort of penetrate that through different organizations in different industries. And again, because we come from a very horizontal, from a very customer experience focused background, that is something that we're primed to help educate our partners and our customers on, because we're thinking about how we can create that vibrant society. But again, on a micro level, right?
Yes.
It's a website, it's an app, it's an operational thing through service. And again, I think we need to be able to tie those things together because it's all great. Same with a company, right? A company can have a grand vision.
Yes.
But if everyone doesn't understand what that means to them individually, it's just
so you can,
something
you can take the vision and make it into real terms.
Exactly.
Exactly. Naresh, did you want to say anything on that?
No, I just want to add, we also have a strong team there.
Yes.
We have an office, as Adam already said. So, and we are also hiring aggressively in Saudi. So, we want to understand, the culture even better, so that we understand the problems even better. So it's all.
So you have the existing office, a team, and customers in the kingdom, which is a real head start. Let's be really honest, actually. And like you said, you are flying in as well, lots every week. Your execs are flying in and having meetings, which is fantastic. Coming back to something you said earlier, Naresh, about your experience with the leaving early for the coffee and having the coffee and the croissant given to you as you left the hotel. When we used to fly into this region, I used to always, and when I go to universities, I always say the same story. I say, imagine a day in the life of, to put it into real context about the sort of customers that we have. I don't want to speak about particular logos, etc. But when I used to say, when I fly in and the airline operator that I fly in on is a Salesforce customer. So it knows my preference and it knows what seat I like to sit in. You know what I mean? And it knows what sort of, what my drinks are, what my food is. And then when I arrive at the destination, I get into a very well-known operator of logistics, taxis, etc.
Right.
And they know exactly where my office is and where my home is. And then I get into my hotel. Okay, again, a big name of ours. And then they know what sort of floor I like to be on and the pillow that I use. So it's that real personalized service that I think you were really referencing that really sets Salesforce apart from a lot of its peers, because it touches every single logo that we all use day in, day out. And that's a big factor for us.
Absolutely. I mean, so look, the data is there. The technology is there to bring the data. You have all the engagement data.
Yes.
When you browse the site, you make a booking, you have all the transactional data. You have all your preference data. When you call a customer service, you know what you care about. So the brand can know what you care about. Now, all that information, what is the right place to kind of bring that together? Get a view about your personality, your preferences, and I think from that, Salesforce really stands out from the technology point of view. And then actually have Gen AI work on the data to give you a personalized experience. So the example that I gave to you earlier could also be an agent, right? How it could be. So when you make a booking, you do sometimes give, I'm going to check out at that time.
Yeah.
And if there was an agent which would look and say, hey, this guy's going to fly at 4 a.m, sends a notification or as an agentic workflow through an internal person, hey, can you treat that customer? I mean, I think a lot of customers could actually build exact same use case.
Yeah.
Use Agentforce for that.